There we go. That's awesome. Well, thank you, Denise. What a great group to be in front of. I see so many familiar names and faces, and I'm excited to get a chance to connect with y'all. Denise, just so I kind of know where I'm at time wise, how long? And I'm pretty good time wise. Tell me time wise.
Um, so we have allotted you until 12 o'clock. So,
Okay,
so you've
beautiful,
got about 40 minutes. You don't have to take all
awesome.
that time. It's completely up to you.
All right, so I'm gonna give you guys my 73 keys to success. It's gonna be a hell of a good time. Um, I'm obviously kidding. We're not gonna do that. Well, guys, first off, thanks for just indulging me. I know key events meetings are such an important time where you guys are working on your schedule, you work on your business. I just want you to know I don't take it for granted. If anything, I'm sure I'm intruding in the middle of what you're trying to get done. So I'm gonna do my best to bring some value and maybe share some thoughts and things that have really helped us grow on our journey. I'm just going to confess if my energy is in a weird place, I'm on the back end of some gnarly food poisoning. This is about the only thing I've been able to put in a minute. So hopefully, I'm still able to give you guys the goods. I feel a little scatterbrained and fogged here today, but we're still going to make this thing happen, and we're going to let it ride. I don't know that I'm going to really do any screen sharing or anything, but could you make me a co-host, Denise, just in case there is anything that comes up that might make sense to share? So that'd be awesome. Well, guys, I was asked just to talk about, kind of some of the steps we took to build our culture, our community, particularly a heavy focus on key events. Several of y'all have been kind enough and generous enough to speak to our team and help us. And I get a chance to work with Danny at the Houston Rodeo Project. So some of y'all have seen how the sausage gets made and good and bad. But to kind of go backwards, I think a lot of people just see us for who we are now, which is just a big division, and we've got the state fairs, and that's great. And very few people kind of know sort of where we came from or how we got here, and it may or may not be edifying or interesting, but it seems like a good place as any to start. But when I took over in 2014, I was an interim coordinator. I was literally just the drop down. There was really no one else they felt confident to do the job, and so they asked me to take on the role for a year. And coming into it, we that first year did the towering sum of 30 something events. If you're wondering, okay, so we did I think 30 something events, like 34, and we sold the grand total of 130-40 thousand dollars that year. Okay, now that's not kind of the state fairs; they're kind of their own beast. We did a couple hundred grand at those, but even then, like a couple hundred grand across all three of our fairs. And so I think sometimes people see where we're at now, and I'm told that we're not relatable just because of some of the numbers that are put out. But the reality is, we've gone through every single phase of it. We've gone through the phase where our team was fractured. We've gone through the phases where we didn't have a great community. We've gone through the phases where we didn't have the RR culture that we do currently. We've gone through the phases where we were at a place of more complacency and less growth. And again, I don't know y'all's teams, and maybe y'all are well past any of that. But I think every healthy, growing team, I think you're going to go through these windows of time where you kind of hit some of these different challenges. And I think the reason why we've been able to enjoy some really consistent growth has been because of the way we've learned through them. We've gotten knocked on our ass, but then the way we've been able to build our way back up and find some good solutions. And so I love just sharing some of the things that we learned. So if it can shorten y'all's learning curve or growth curve in any way, I think that's a helpful thing, or at least that's my goal. So a couple of things I've got here, just kind of bullet points that I wanted to get a chance to cover today. When we think about if we really shine a light towards kind of key events, I think that's probably as good a place as any to start, because I think that's what we really excel at. Now, the State Fair Texas is a big project. All our state fairs are, but the reality is, we do a pretty good job with the other shows too. And I don't say that to be like defensive or anything, but sometimes people are like, oh yeah, you guys have the fair, and I'm like, yeah, we do, but if you take the state fair out, we're still the number one team. And again, I don't say that to be flippant, because we really had to get our way to that point. But when we think about some of the keys and steps to kind of getting up to that point, there were a couple of big decisions we had to make throughout our journey that really have sort of afforded the opportunity that we had. And so I'm just going to share a couple of those, and then we'll see where the tangents take us. First off, when we're going through and really building up the events in our territory, we kind of have a philosophy here that we approach things as, and that events are not a thing that we occasionally do. Events are not just a method for us to acquire customers. Now they are that. They're a great method for acquiring customers. They're a great method for generating sales. But for us, like the events space, it is a business that we're collectively investing in. Okay. And so everything we talk about in TGP, from shift costs to display items to any decisions that we're making from a policy perspective, it always comes from the place that this is a business we're collectively investing in. This is something most of us are in this for a relatively long term. Maybe a lot of you guys are, maybe you're not. That's okay. But I can tell you that when you're stepping into a thriving, healthy business where the machinery is turning, everything is moving from a better place. And all of a sudden, when we kind of got to that point where as a group we were able to make that decision that we don't want this just to be a thing we're doing. If this is going to be a healthy, thriving business, this is something we're going to invest our time, our talents, our money into. And it really informed the decisions we made. What does that actually look like? Okay. Once we made that decision, all of a sudden, a lot of things became much clearer. Okay. Some of the other decisions, like things like ROR. All right. ROR is a huge thing. Dante Reynolds, he shared this at a meeting I was speaking at for their teams a while back, and I really appreciated it. He said there's three kind of organizations. There's teams that don't have an ROR program, there's teams that do have an ROR program, and there's teams that have an ROR culture. Okay. And ROR culture is that like highest level that you want to really try to get at if you can. Well, guys, when we had to make hard decisions in ROR, and is this something that, how do we want to approach it? How do we want to deal with this? Is this something important to us? Well, once we made the decision that this is a business we're collectively running, we're all investing in this. Well, then how can we incentivize that? Well, guys, people who are willing to build a clientele, people who are willing to take risk by doing shows, people who are contributing to the fund, it makes sense to offer a compelling opportunity there that they can build up that thriving customer base. So all of a sudden, the decisions on ROR became much simpler. Now, does that mean that everyone loves it all the time? No. But guys, I'll tell you this, we pay out a lower percentage than almost any other team I know, and we have basically no drama. And it's just because our team got to a point where they could be empowered to make that decision. They understand that element of reciprocity. Our guys don't look at it as like, hey, when I'm writing up for another person, I'm losing out on, this sale. Like, oh, I wanted to keep this galley set, or I wanted to keep the signature, or whatever, this trimmer. I don't care. Okay. Our guys look at it as no. By being a part of this team, I am now present at 300 and something events with the best salespeople in the entire company. My customers are protected. My customers are covered. And I am going to be tenfold beyond what I could possibly actually, be there physically at and apply myself to. And especially as an old guy with kids, like I work a lot of events, but I don't work as many as a lot of y'all. So like, I don't take advantage of that though. When I'm in the field, I know I have to go hard with it too. In fact, I was pulling some numbers up from our fairs this last year. And again, ROR is it's an important thing in TGP. It may not even be a thing for y'all. It's just something important to us. So I just want to share this as an example of how those fundamental decisions make a really big difference. This last year during our fair project, I was pulling numbers up. Anthony Coyote wrote up $15,000 for other team members. Burt Wicks wrote up $19,000. Brett Lancaster wrote up $20,000. I wrote up $15,000. I got to get in my game. Calvin Lopez sold $32,000 for other team members. Now this is across Texas, Oklahoma, and Tulsa, but pretty big numbers. Carlton Thompson was at 17, Chelsea 25. Let's see, Curtis wrote up 15 for other people. Dante wrote up 8. Jess Meiser wrote up 14. And I can just keep going on here, but I'm so proud. We had so many people that were selling 10K or more. Marissa Mayer, $11,000 for other people. Matt Fox wrote up $20,000 for other people. Philip Tice wrote up $33,000 for other people on our team. And it's crazy. And I get it. Some people will see those numbers and they hear those numbers and they just think, oh my God, what do they leave on the table? But guys, the reality is we take care of each other year round. And it's a point of celebration. It's a point of pride. Hell, we do bounties based on ROR. We literally had one weekend this last fair, during the fair season this last year, we wrote up over $40,000 for other team members. And the reality is we have to though, because we have 5 booths out there. Like the odds of your customer getting specifically to you are so so vanishingly low that we just had to find a way to say, what's a good mechanism to still capture those sales and take care of each other and run a collective business together. And all of a sudden, once we made those decisions, okay, cool. Well, then it falls where it falls. And people can take it and just run with it in such a positive way. And it's not where we started. All right. That's not where we started. We started from a place of a scarcity mindset. We started from a place of saying, if I am paying to be here, then I'm losing out. It's not fair that Danny should benefit if he's not here right this second. But again, once you can take that big picture vision and understand, no, I'm at 300 shows now. And if I do right by Danny, Danny's going to do right by Mohammed. He's going to do right by Carlo's going to do right by me. Like the dominoes knock each other over. It's never, I write up for Danny, Danny writes up for me. The universe won't let that happen. It's never that clean. Okay. But just having that big picture vision makes a huge difference. And why am I showing you this? Because this is not like, this isn't a coordinator message, but anytime I'm talking to programs who want to grow, I always talk to them about, you got to go to the needle movers, shift average, ROR, quality policies, how good's your display, where's your staffing at? Okay, like those are the big dog things, like at a key events meeting that leaders in an organization like you guys have here, that's the kind of stuff y'all have to be looking at. And if all you care about is your section of this opportunity, and it doesn't really matter to you how it goes for anyone else or anything else, I mean, honestly, those just aren't the kind of people that, in my experience, have the most success and grow to the highest level in Cutco. And by the way, the hard thing is sometimes you might be in situations where you feel like you're the only person who cares. Well, great, someone's got to shine that light. And again, I'm sure all you guys are out there killing it, but someone has to be the person that goes, nope, we're going to shine the light. We're going to do this the right way. And when enough people lock arms, especially high influence people, like the people on this call, the fact I'm on this call and I know all your names, hell of a good start. Not because I matter, but just because I see you guys on sales reports. Like, I know this crew here. I know how influential you guys are in your own organizations and in the whole Western region, for God's sake. So, as you go, so will go everything else. And so that was one of those like big needle moving decisions. By the way, staffing, that's another really big one for us. We're much more aggressive on staffing than most teams are. Okay. And for the record, there's more than one right answer. Okay, so I don't want anyone to hear anything I'm sharing and feel targeted. I shared a similar message with one of the teams in the Central region a week and a half ago, and one of the guys was just like thinking I was trying to like overstaff his one specific show. I don't care. I don't even know what show he was talking about. Okay, but for us, we default to 2 people at pretty much every show that we do. Now, if there's a little gun show and we can only staff 1 person, great, fantastic. But we find that a lot of teams, they have a scarcity mindset. They say there's not enough to go around. There's not enough customers, not enough opportunity. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that there's no shows that shouldn't only be 1 person. Of course, there are shows that are sufficient with 1 person. But we have found is that the exposure, that one of our strategic priorities is our team spending time together in the booth is a really key thing. We have a Hall of Famer, one of the top people on our team. And about 8 years ago, me and this person, I'm not going to tell you their name because you'll all like this person better than me. Me and this person, we went to war. I mean, we went to war and it was not pretty and it was ugly. And we had a very public fight in my house, okay? Because we literally did our team meetings in my house. So where like my wife was uncomfortable. Like me and this person went at it. So you know what I immediately did? I found the next show they were working and I put my happy ass at that show. Okay. And my wife was like, why are you doing that? And I go, because if we can't come to terms being stuck together for 10 hours a day for a couple days in a row, probably never happening. Okay. So we're going to steer into the skid. All right. We're going to literally put ourselves in that place where we can get to some meaning of understanding. And by the way, now this is someone that I was in their wedding. This is someone I'm very close to, but I wasn't then. Sure as heck wasn't then. But it's a strategic priority for us. Guys, we made a decision years ago that we felt to maximize sales at events, we had to be properly staffed. And for us, properly staffed meant we had to challenge the way we were looking at it. And so, a lot of the people on our teams, they'll look at events and they have this very limited vision of them. They don't intend to, that's not their goal, but they only judge it based on the times they're not busy. Okay. And guys, the times you're not busy don't matter. We work Canton, Texas. It opens at 8 a.m. and it's an hour from anything. There's nothing out there. So like we won't sell anything from 8 to 10. So I'll literally have people tell me I'm sitting there twiddling my thumbs for hours. Okay, well, great. I don't actually care about those hours. I care about the times it is busy. Okay. And so the reality is I'll have people on our team where we have these conversations, these tough conversations where they might work a show solo and get 8 orders. Okay. But if we had a second person there, I'm not saying we would double it, but we would get 12. Okay. So all of a sudden, 8 versus 12, we can increase the capacity of that show and the size of it. But if we only leave it up to the person who's going from 8 to 6, well, all of a sudden it's misaligned incentives. If it's only up to that person, then they'll just say, no, 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 it's just going to hurt my opportunity if I have another body there. I don't want to do that. Okay. And so we kind of just don't let anyone do that. Our default is we put 2 in there until we see such a time that we need less. Shoot, at Houston Rodeo, we have 5 in the booth at a time. That's a cost thing as much as anything. But guys, the exposure together is such an important thing. When I took over in 2014 in TGP, I literally only had 3 goals for the entire year, but one of them was that we just had a unified team and we just had to have time together. And by the way, geographically, like there's 4 hours that across our territory, like a solid 4 hours. So it's not nothing to say we're going to get time together. That's really challenging. And it's not like we're together all the time, but finding ways and prioritizing community. Okay. And so, like, from a staffing perspective, though, it's funny because we'll have people. I sat in a key events meeting for a top 5 division, and they were just arguing and like, I mean, really arguing about whether this event that sold 15 grand could support 2 people. And I just laughed because I was like, man, it sure hell would in TGP. I promise you that. But here's the whole big picture aspect to this, okay? Because again, the point is not y'all should staff more. I don't even know how you staff. Maybe y'all don't need to do anything. The point is just to challenge the perspective. Because if you just take a singular perspective of if we add more people, is that going to limit my opportunity? Well, no, because what it's going to do is it's going to open up opportunities at all these other shows that had otherwise been closed off to you. Okay. So again, by increasing the amount of inventory available for people to work, it allows my people to work more consistently. And all of a sudden our shows average higher and our people get better because they're exposed to each other. It's just an example. It's not meant to apply necessarily to your divisions, but it's an example of the kind of hard decisions we had to make. We had to say, maybe we're wrong, but we think that it's important to us if we're going to grow these events in size and scale that we do it. Another thing was just patience. Okay. For us guys, we will generally commit to an event for 2 years before we make any decisions on it. And that's not always easy. Now, does that mean we never bail on a show that's not working? No, of course we do. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense. But we have a show that we do in Fort Worth, Texas called Mayfest. It's a big summer festival. And we don't really have a lot of big events in the summer. The summer is definitely our downtime because it's hot as hell in Texas. But Mayfest, we had to pay $5,000 to be there. And so I literally just said, I think it's one we should be in. Me and Calvin Lopez, my other coordinator, and Roger Rodriguez. We're just like, are you good for 1,500? Me too. You all right? Bet. Like whatever. Let's just do it. Let's ride. Okay, because we think this thing could be big. And the first year we sold $2,000. Okay, so we paid 5 and we sold 2. We lost money hand over fist. All right, but again, guys, we're professionals. We understand we're investing in this. It is what it is. And so, literally, as soon as it ended, we just said, "Look, I wouldn't pay $5,000 to be in this space again. We've showed it didn't work, and I'm not in the business of wasting my money. But we know there are other locations here that could work, and if they would be willing to move us, would we all try again?" And all 3 of us, literally, as we're tearing down, we're like, "Yep, I'm in for next year." Great. So the next year we signed up, we did it again, and all of a sudden we sold 15,000. Now that's still not terribly profitable. We all know that, okay? Like a 1.5 to profit to expense isn't great, okay? But at the same time, we're like, all right, there's some meat on this bone. And then we did it this last year. We sold 35,000. Okay. And then this year, we know we're going to be able to do some pretty cool things with it. And so part of that whole big picture vision is just that willingness to invest and take calculated risks, but do it together. When we got in the Fort Worth Stock Show, the Fort Worth Stock Show is an event we sell $250,000 to $300,000 a year. Guys, we paid $32,000 to get in that show. Okay, like it's not a cheap show. Like we spend a lot of money on events that we do. Now it still generates 10 to 1, so great. It's a great show. We get amazing customers there. But at the same time, I was sitting in their office the day before Thanksgiving with Calvin. And back when we first got in, it was 24 grand. It was more than a decade ago. And we just said, are we doing this? And so literally we called Roger Rodriguez and Steven Decker and just said, hey, if we can book this thing, 8 to Roger, 8 to Steven, 8 to me, 8 to Calvin. If no one else will work and it's just the 4 of us, can we swing it? Is it worth it to take a big swing on a spring show, 20 something days long, that we think we could generate a hell of a lot of CPO? And we're like, let's freaking go. Let's do it. Okay. And so again, it was a calculated risk. And by the way, I would never have put that on people on our team that were not in a place financially where they could invest. But for the guys that were willing to take a couple big swings, it's amazing what's possible. But I just find that a lot of people, it's a lack of patience and vision. Sometimes you have to say, look, if I can help build this thing up, can I get a stake in it? Can I get some long-term benefit from it? And if that's the case, taking some calculated risks. Now, again, I don't think that anyone on there, just seeing the people on this call, I don't think any of you guys are worried about taking big swings, but I'm just sharing some of the challenges I see for a lot of teams. They're too conservative. There's a scarcity mindset on events they should be working, how good the events are. Man, I love and I hate Eventalytics. Okay, Eventalytics is awesome. I use it a ton. But there's things I hate about Eventalytics too. When we think about like the limiting beliefs and the scarcity mindset being something that holds up and it trips up so many people on our team, I'll have guys on my team. I'm going to call it Anthony Coyote. I love Coyote. He's my boy. He's getting married this next month. Okay, feel free. You can text Coyote and be like, "Hey, Brian's talking shit about you." Sorry, I guess pardon my language. Okay. But Anthony was like the worst in the world. He would literally we'll be picking shifts like you guys are doing now. He'll go on Eventalytics and be like, what did sell last year? Oh, I'm not doing that. Okay. And there's no context. That's the reason I don't like Eventalytics. There's no context. Okay. Because there's some shows where, it sold $4,000 at it. So he's like, well, I'm not going to go do that. But the reason it sold $4,000 is because we had like Michelle and Ashlyn, two new people. They had 15 orders for $4,000. And that's actually awesome. They did that because they had just gone through training and it rained one of the days we were there. There's no context. There's no story to it. And so I have to challenge our guys a lot of times for the what and the why and what's possible at events. It's so tough once a person, a team, an event, a territory, anything. Once there's a story about it, it's so hard to shake it. Okay. And anything can get a story about it. Shows can get a story about it. I guarantee you, y'all have shows like that. We do too. There's this RV show we do during the late spring. And it's on a light week. And if it wasn't, we probably would have stopped doing it years ago. But it sold like $2,000, $3,000, 1,800, 2,300. I literally went back and looked. That was 4 consecutive years. And then I literally had a year where I was sitting there with one of our top guys, and it's not a show I ever worked, but I went, the people there are buying RVs. Like they have money. Like that's clearly the right market for us to be in. Now, some boat shows are great and some suck. Some RV shows are great and some suck. But I'm like, this is crazy. There's no way that this is right. But I started asking around. I go, hey, would you go work this? I asked some of our top people, would you go work the show? They're like, no. Look at what it does. That show sucks. And I'm like, you suck. Okay. And so I just got one of our top guys. And by the way, I had to bribe him. I literally was like, look, I'll give up my shift at this other show if you'll come work this with me. Cause like, we got to show out. Like, I know this thing is better than that. And literally we sold $12,000 at it. And it's a show we pay $500 to be at. And we sold $12,000. And again, 3, 2, 1,800, 2,300, $12,000. And then, by the way, after that, I worked it one more year and I've never worked it since. But since then, we've done $11,000, $9,000, $13,000, $8,000, $10,000. And it's just this consistent performing event. But it just had this narrative to it. It had this funk. It had this story. And it's just because of this sort of lack of curiosity that our team had for a really long time. But I see it a lot in the community. A lot of the community, there's this lack of curiosity about, I wonder why we're getting this result. Okay. And that's something on the management side I always tell my assistant managers. I go, look, when you're getting the results you are, the only consistent thing across all the things you're doing is you. Okay. Like the only consistent thing across all the reps you work with is you. So if all the reps are having a pretty shared experience, probably you. Okay. Now, once you sort of come to that place, you can do one of two things. You can either make excuses or get defensive or beat yourself up, or you can just get curious. And we're just some curious people out here in Texas. Okay. Anytime we're having those challenges or anytime we see people producing at a level that we're not, we just ask, I wonder why. Why are they getting that? I wonder why. Okay. And just that sort of that attitude of just being kind of humble and hungry, it's something that really has defined our community. By the way, it's really fun and positive to talk about it, but it's kind of brutal too. Let me show you all here. Something that we're really, for people in the community, and I share a lot of stuff with coordinators, so some of you guys may have seen this stuff, we're super public with our stats and results, okay? And our team knows if they want to be on key events, if they want to be part of our leadership group in TGP, we share the stats openly, okay? everyone sees their numbers. And by the way, it's not to put people on blast. It's not to embarrass people. It's just to celebrate people and look for areas of opportunity. And that's what we always look at it. You can do one of two things with data. You can either celebrate your good results on other people, or you can look for areas of opportunity. If you just want to crap on yourself and other people, I have no time for that. And I always talk to my team about that. Like if you get frustrated by your numbers, okay, don't have an emotional response to data. All right. Like just take some curiosity and ask some questions. But guys, because we share this kind of stuff, our team gets a chance to see it, and they can think what they think and they can feel what they feel. They're totally valid. I had a great conversation with some people on our team where like their results weren't they weren't where they wanted to be, like good people that had like a lower average order. Like Marissa Mayer is a phenomenal rep. Marissa is a far more talented salesperson than I am. I have no problem saying that. But last year, her average order on service events just dipped. It just dipped. Okay. Previous years, it was higher. But the thing is, everything has a story. And if Marissa didn't take the time to assess in her business, if we collectively didn't decide it was important for us to know our numbers and hold each other accountable in a positive way, you're never confronted with that. And all of a sudden, people they just ride. And I hear people do that all the time. I had someone on my team, I was like, hey, how are you at your flatware scripts? And like, oh, I'm great at flatware. Well, what they didn't know is I'd gone to Info Support and run a report for the last 6 months for everyone on our team: flatware, cookware, business gifts, ultimate sets, gourmet sets. I had way too much data, by the way. Like I was mad with power. And so I was like, hey, are you comfortable, since you know you're so good at flatware, can I share to our entire team your flatware number from this year? And he goes, well, yeah, I mean, I'm probably not number one, but yeah, share my number by all means. 0. Okay. Literally in the 6 months prior to this conversation, they hit some 0 flatware chests. Now, I'm not going to tell you who this person is because I'm not putting them on blast. Well over $3 million in sales, a name all of y'all know, a top 20 event rep in the entire company in event sales last year. 0 flatware in a 6-month window of time. And he goes, there's no way that's right. And I go, prove me wrong. You got your orders, homie? Break it out. Prove me wrong. And he was like, son of a gun. Dang it. Okay. By the way, guess who was number 3 in our team? And our team has like Chelsea and Josh and some real world. Guess who was number 3 in flatware for the rest of the year? That guy. Okay. But it was because we have a team of people where it's just curiosity with no judgment. You're not good or bad because of how high your average order is. You're not good or bad because of how many orders a day you sell, but it's a data point. And if you're not ever willing to sort of look at some numbers and look at some data critically, it never gets better. It just never gets better. Okay. Zest Fest. We do this hot sauce show. It's a dumb thing. It's a hot sauce show. It's stupid. Okay. And Hammerstall is always right next to us, and they always make our life challenging. Flint and Flame. Whatever they keep renaming themselves. Rhineland. Just the dying remains of just crappy cutlery. Okay. But we still do it. And it's a show. It's the same thing. We used to do $3,000 every year. And so we just had a year where we're like, this isn't a good area. It's not our best area, but it's a good area. There's no reason with its attendance we should be doing numbers that big. And I literally asked people who have been working it, I go, why don't you think we sell more? And like, it's just not that kind of show. And I go, what kind of show? Like a show with people at it? And they're like, oh, well, we're the most expensive thing there. Usually we're there with mattresses or hot tubs or something, but this is hot sauce. People are coming to pay $8, $9 for hot sauce. We're selling $3,000 sets of knives. And I go, cool. So you're just telling me you're not comfortable price positioning when you're the most expensive thing there, which is okay. That's not a bad thing. Curiosity with no judgment. And they literally sat there and they went, never thought about that. And I go, yeah, I mean, like, do you think the market is that different, or it's just you don't know how to position yourself compared to the context that they're in? Because that is a real thing. Like, guys, if you've ever done like flea markets and stuff, that's a real thing. You do have to position differently. And so all of a sudden, once we knew that, we took a focus on training on that. We literally spent 4 months of our meetings just training up on price positioning when we're the most expensive thing at a show. And again, I'm not saying that's the reason why, but that show then did 7, and then it did 9, and it did 13. And now it's just a consistent performer. Hell, Brett Lancaster had a $15,000 business gift order in December from a customer he got at that show in February that he had been doing follow-up for 10 months on. Okay. And so the customers were there, but instead of just accepting the story and the narrative, because that's just what I find most teams are doing. Like you have so many bottlenecks in your program, you don't even realize. And the cool thing is, once you get confident and secure, you don't have to be threatened by the bottlenecks. You don't have to be annoyed or frustrated. I mean, hey, feel what you feel, but all those bottlenecks are just opportunities. And all of a sudden, when you start to see that, you're like, I wonder why we have a show with reasonable attendance in a good area and we don't sell as much. I wonder why. And that's across multiple years with good people. The problem is now there's just a story about that show, and sometimes even about the people working it, and that story isn't accurate. Okay, guys, getting a chance, and when we ask people, and I'll show you the sales and service again. Like, how's your sales and service program? Like for us, it's a huge part of our program. Since we decided that events are not a thing we occasionally do, but a business we collectively invest in. Okay, well, having pissed off customers hurts all of our opportunity and investment. So that's why we have really high requirements for service events. We have really high standards for what has to be done, not in sales, but in number of events. Now, some of these guys like Maria Stewart, guys, no one doubts Maria Stewart's ability. This is just a reflection of the fact she's new to the area. Okay, so some of that, like, don't get too lost in the sauce there. But when we look at the numbers and the averages there, we're always encouraging and challenging our guys to get a little more curious with those numbers. But all of a sudden, it wasn't hard to figure out what are appropriate standards when we decided that someone doing service events, it's not just to the benefit of them and their customers, it benefits everyone. Okay, great. Then that is a reasonable thing for all of us to help shoulder that as we go. Guys, when we think about just kind of the growth, that being a big tenet for us, we have never arrived. Like getting a chance where we're not complacent. And again, you don't have to have numbers exactly like ours, but do you know yours? Or are you content to sort of just say, oh, I think I'm great? Or, you do the insecure rep thing where you're like, oh yeah, I sold like $8,000 on Saturday at that one show a month or two ago. Like I'm killing it right now. Okay, congratulations on a great day. Like props to you for having a great day. But how is your business consistently operating right now? And again, you don't have to, maybe these numbers don't mean anything to you. That's fine. No big deal. But like these are our sales for just traditional events. So it's like no malls, no service events, no fairs, anything like that. But guys, just getting a chance to self-assess. Okay. Like those same sorts of things that I did with info support, you could do that too. You could literally reach out to info support and just say, like, hey, how many flower chests have I sold? How much cookware have I sold? What are my areas of opportunity? Are you letting your business just ride with whatever level of momentum you have? And honestly, whatever level of complacency you have, or are you sort of challenging yourself with those areas of opportunity? Okay, guys, business gifts, that's another huge thing. Like business gift opportunity is massive. It's huge. And again, I don't even think I'm that great at it, honestly. I just learned my scripts well enough and I talked to everyone about it. But this last year, I sold 120 something $1,000 in business gifts, and I don't work industry events. I don't do all the things I'm supposed to do. I just work traditional shows and I run my office and run interviews in the summer. Like that's all I do. I work with my existing clientele and I work traditional events. So every business gift sale and lead I get is generated just at shows, same shows you guys are at. I sold 100 Petite Santokus to an oil company because I met them, and they live out of state, but I just met them because they were in town visiting their in-laws, and they were this little art crawl. And so that's how I got connected. And by the way, it's same type of thing. I met him in February, I closed it in September, but I sold him 100 Petite Santokus just from sending him an email or something, every once in a while. And so like it's the same type of thing though. Like, how do you see your opportunity? Like, are you selling a lot in business gifts? Are you not? Where are you kind of in relation to the ether, or where do you want to be? Are you approaching it with curiosity? Because so many of the issues and challenges, and by the way, even the infighting, guys, our team is small and petty too. I'm the worst of everyone. Okay. I'm temperamental. I'm moody. I'm unserious. I am all these terrible things. And by the way, I'm not a fun person to be in conflict with when it happens either, because I can be kind of a hard ass. But at the same time, like, it's not that everything is perfect here. It's not, but we have these central core values and tenets that we've decided on, just inclusivity, on, by the way, rising tide raising all ships. One person's success will never happen at my expense, ever, ever, ever. Okay, like, is there Cutco roulette? Of course there is. I worked a show with Calvin Lopez where we both were beating our face against the wall to sell anything, and a dude walks up and he's just that guy. From the second he walks up, he's like that guy. He's like, oh my god, Cutco! My mom had Cutco. Wow, how much is the big one? As he points with the Yachtmaster on his wrist, and he's just like, and Calvin's like, oh, are you familiar with Cutco? Yeah, I want Cutco. Well, how much is that one? It's like $4,600. And he goes, I mean, I guess I spent that on the smoker. It sounds crazy, but maybe it's not that crazy. And it's just the definition of a walk up. Okay. Would I rather have had the experience of that walk up? Of course I would. Okay. Like, I'm away from my kids. I'm paying to be there. I had to drag things into the damn Cowboys stadium. I posted photos in the Fire group me a while back. We're literally in the place where the Dallas Cowboys play, and I sold a bag of nothing. Okay. And this guy walks up, and it was like he wanted to fill the form out for Calvin. Okay. Like that was that much of a walk up. Of course I want to get that. I'm a human being, guys. You're not a bad person. If I see someone like that getting that, to be like, dang it, I wish that was me. But then I immediately pivot because we all just know that every turn in rotation we get, we're pulling the lever. It's it's the casino. Just the more times you're it's a baseball. How's that? It's a better metaphor. The more times you go up to bat, the more you're increasing your odds of doing that. If you work enough shows, you do enough shifts, you will benefit from turn roulette where it just turns your way and you get that. Great. Take that out of it. Okay. Like stop spending your time, if any of you are, I'm sure you guys are, but my guys do sometimes, stressing and worrying about that. Stop comparing yourself to other people. Compare yourself to yourself. Like the reason we share stats is not so that way people on my team can go, oh, I'm better or worse than Jeff Majors or Chelsea Rodriguez or Brian Carter. That's not why we do it. We do it so they can say what's possible in this market. What are results people are getting? What is our actual team average? Am I above or below it? And if I'm below it, cool. Well, the consistent thing is me. I wonder why. I wonder why I'm below. I wonder what I could do to change that. Okay, guys, you can start arming yourself with these like positive affirmative decisions that you can make. um I'm just raw. I don't even know what I don't even know what I'm talking about now, guys. These are just I've all these like kind of key things I've had people share with me that are challenges in their division that I just feel really passionate about. But let me just share a couple of things here because I know we're quickly out of time. Let me share just a couple of just I guess closing thoughts here, and then hopefully something anything I've said will land with anyone for anything helpful. Guys, you have to have a community. You have to have a community. If you do not prioritize having a community, you will never have a culture. And culture, I always say it's what people see, it's what they hear, it's what they feel. There's a culture in our booths. If you come and you train with us, if you spend time with us, you may or may not like us, that's fine. But there's a vibe, there's an energy, there's a positivity. Customers feel it, guests feel it, people who train with us feel it, and it's a priority to us. But until we prioritize having a community, we couldn't do that. Guys, we have high standards for everything. We have a show fund. I think every team should. Maybe I'll do, maybe you don't. Great. Okay. That's not something I decided, me, Brian Carter, but that's something that when I took over as coordinator, I went to the team and said, we're trying to run a big business and you can't run a business without capital. And I need money in this fund for us to do anything. Can we start paying out a couple bucks for every shift to fill this thing? And the team was like, what will we do with it? And I go, that's a great question. Here's all the things I have a vision for us to do. And the team decided, okay, let's do it. Let's try it. And our motto now is we just throw money at problems. But guys, because community is a priority to us, every summer I take like $3,000. Okay. It's usually about half out of the fund and half I just pay for. And we do a big like get together. Like we'll do a nice dinner or we'll do a big event and it's for the teams, but not just the team, but for their spouses. Okay. Like I literally invite personally all the individual spouses of people on our team because like it's a sacrifice you guys all make. And maybe y'all want to kick it together, maybe you don't. But guys, like you got if this is it, like if y'all are the people who are gonna build this and make this the next like light shining team that's growing. Because guys, I remember when Rising Sun wasn't the great team. I remember when North Star wasn't a great, big, thriving team. Anything is possible if you guys have patience and vision and you build it. But if you don't prioritize community, you will never get culture. You will never get culture. So, like just as far as thoughts, prioritize a community, guys. A big part of community is embracing goals. A lot of people get like weird sharing goals, but guys, we have goals collectively as a team. We had mission 2 million, like our first $2 million year. Like we worked the hell out of that thing. We all were in it. Some people on our team, I literally had this conversation with someone on my team who sells 300 grand a year, and like I feel weird selling, like sharing my goals. Customers don't care. Blah 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 blah. Limiting belief. Story story story. And so I literally played Matt Graves from one of our meetings, Bert Wicks from one of our meetings, Chelsea from one of our meetings, and then Curtis from one of our meetings. And I go, these guys all do. How come you don't? And they were like, stupid. I don't even know. Okay. And so again, like having goals that collectively y'all can work towards, but also that you individually like are doing the work to build up, to think out, and to share. Guys, part of the community and the culture for us, our group me is lit. Our group me never shuts up. And by the way, the first year we had our group me, it was just me and Josh Muller talking to each other with other people observing. That's literally all it was. But like being willing to actually like communicate, engage with each other. Guys, share your wins so people can celebrate. It's not bragging. It's just helping all of us remember how good an opportunity we have. Sometimes I'm getting my teeth kicked in at a show and I'll see Jeff Majors post that he sold 100 pairs of shears at a lot and boat show that did $2,000 the year before. And I'm like, what the ever loving hell? Okay. But again, once you get past that point of like, oh, why isn't it me? And you just get curious, you're like, those people are in Latin. The 100 shears people are in Latin. You got to be freaking kidding me. I'm in Plano, Texas. The average income is 4 times higher than Lawton, Oklahoma. Times higher. I'm not exaggerating. It is 4 times higher. I did the math. I Googled it because I sure as hell wasn't selling anything at that show. I may as well Google average income. So if those customers are in Lawton, what if my funk puts that one customer away? They could buy 400 pairs this year. For God's sake, we're killing ourselves sometimes in the field because of just that story and the pressure we put on ourselves on how our day is going, our ability, our opportunity, the people we're working with, how good the show is, how good the territory, all those stories. It just kills us. Guys, communicate as openly as you can. And by the way, when other people are communicating, learn how to receive it, learn how to celebrate other people, create an environment of positivity and support and growth. And that's how you feel okay challenging people. Guys, if our team thought I was out to get them, they would take those stats and numbers I show them very different. Okay. If Marissa Mayer ever thought that I would share a number of hers, maybe not being on the high side of the team, to cut her down or to minimize her or belittle her, she would take that very differently. She knows that's not what I'm doing. I'm sharing it with everyone. I share mine too. So people can poke and laugh at me for how trash I was at cookware last year. I was trash at cookware. Like, what the hell? I'm good at cookware. I just stopped trying, I guess. I don't really know, but I sure as hell didn't sell any of it. Okay, so like after I shared the guy on our team that sold no flatware, I showed my $3,000 in cookware, and it was embarrassing. But here you are. Okay, so guys, communicate, prioritize community so you can get the culture you want. Learn to celebrate together, and y'all, if nothing else, my single biggest message to every events team is this: challenge all the stories that you have about your opportunity, about this show, about that policy, about why this can't work. Just question it. It doesn't mean it's wrong. Challenge it with a positive attitude, but just ask, I wonder why it's happening. And I wonder if there's an even better version of it. Because when you kind of get that curiosity with no judgment, it's amazing how it just grows. And there's still challenges, guys. And there's still issues that we deal with at $5 million that we did with anything else. We just finished up the spring campaign and we grew by 1.6%. That's what we grew by, 1.6%. Okay. And I'm so proud of that because, guys, the idea that like it's never ending growth and you should always go up and there should never be challenges and the market conditions never change and nothing ever happens bad, that's immature. That's childish. This is a business. Business is hard. This shit is hard. Okay. Like what y'all do matters. It's hard. But at the same time, like if you can just learn to celebrate, identify what you're working towards and lock arms to do it together, it's better. And I just want it better for everyone. But guys, just challenge the stories, challenge the narratives. There's so much possibility out there. And I've got a family in the Bay Area. Like I'm familiar with y'all's territory right now, how good it is. I know how good it can be. And you're already doing amazing things. I just can't wait to see what it looks like 1 year from now, 2 years from now, and 5 years from now when you're just dominating. That's it. I'm sorry. That was a lot of stuff, Denise. I don't know if I said anything helpful, but there we are.
Thank you so much, Brian. Does anyone have any questions for Brian as we wrap this up?
They're like, we don't even know what are they even talking about.
I think everyone's just speechless at this point. Well, thank you again for your time, Brian, and for being here. And we just appreciate being able to have, a powerhouse like you on our call today and just teaching us about team culture while working key events. And, it's definitely something we're working on as a team. And, I just appreciate your insights on that because I know that you have experienced a lot of the transitions over the years as you've been a coordinator. So again, thank you so much.
Guys, it's worth it. I'll just say it's worth it. I've done everything there is to do in this company, short of being, I don't know, a region manager. I've done all the different jobs. I've gotten paid to do all of them and paid pretty well. There's a reason that I still choose to spend 2/3 of my year in the booth doing what y'all do. It's worth it. I know y'all do. You don't need to hear it from me, but I love what you guys are doing, and I love the people on this call. So just keep killing it, guys. Y'all deserve. I just know when I see the reports, you're doing great, and you deserve even better. And I just can't wait to see you get it.
Yeah. One little fun stat I want to share with you real quick before you head out. Every person on our both events team, the Bay Area and NorCal, grew their spring campaign over 2024.
Jesus. More than 1%, I assume?
What was that?
I said, I bet that equaled more than 1% growth for y'all. Well done. Well freaking done.
Well, some of that's obviously not event sales.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Who cares?
It doesn't matter. I mean, people are crushing it, and it's just amazing what happens when you put standards in place.
It's incredible, guys. Just keep building. I promise you, layer it up, layer it up, layer it up. I get it. We're a state fair. We haven't had a state fair yet, but we've still sold almost $1.4 million this year. Like, it's out there. It's freaking out there. You just got to go find all these weird piddly ass events, and that's what y'all are doing.
Absolutely. We just added 200 new events to the Bay Area roster
Good
just for
God.
summer, and 100 events in NorCal. So
Good God. Incredible.
my
Amazing.
assistant and I were hammering away for a couple days getting some stuff done. But anyways,
Good
all
Lord.
right. Thank you again.
Love it. Yeah.
Have a good one.